one of the success stories, we'll open this conversation up a little bit and just have a chat about him and sort of his journey, if you like, for a few minutes, if you don't mind. Curtis Jones, and he's been sort of the shining light now for Liverpool in so many senses, certainly when it comes to the academy, of course, because he came right up through the age groups, captained under 18s, sort of star player in the 21s. I guess in many ways, Matty, I'll come to you, he is the dream for Liverpool in an academy sense, because so much emphasis is built around the academy and sort of having one of the most successful academies in the country, whether it be for first team players or selling players on or however it may look. But with Curtis, you've got a local lad there, come through the ranks, now established in the first team. Like, he is again that dream scenario.
Yeah, it's, well, every, like, lads, obviously there'll be a few Everton fans as well, but every Liverpool fan's sort of lads around Liverpool's dream in it. So the actual hard work to get to the point he's at, you just got to go fair play to him. So obviously because obviously you see players sometimes get to the age of 16, 17 and they're flying the, you know, top of the world, and then they do struggle. So to sort of keep that path and actually go on and sort of establish himself in the first team and not just sort of fall away, probably is a credit to his mentality as well, to keep himself at it all the time.
Yeah, definitely. And 2-time Premier League winner now, Kev. Like, more trophies to come with it as well. Like, you know, he's had some career already. There's loads more still to come, of course there is. But Matty kind of touched on it there. It hasn't always been easy for him because, again, he was captain in youth sides. He was star of the show in youth sides. Like, it felt like, having watched a lot of it, a lot of the sort of the emphasis is around give the ball to Curtis and see what he can do. That's different now in the first team because he's around so many other star players, Mo Salah, Van Dijk, etc. Like, for him to be able to adapt his game and sort of play a bit of a lesser role, maybe just become a squad player, that's testament to how he is as a person as well.
I think the FA have this model of what do we look for in players, and they sort of broke it down to 4 areas, and you'd either covered this on your B licence, was like technical, psychological, social and physical. Now if you look at Curtis's development, it says that he's got to be strong psychologically, you know, to get and to be playing in that first team. So it says everything about his character, you know, because I'm sure he's technically been one of the best right throughout his career, but it shows that he's got something psychologically upstairs that can, you know, get him over the line and do what he's been doing over the last couple of years. Definitely,
because it's interesting that I come to you on it, Matty, because he gets more scrutiny and there's more pressure on him being a local lad, you know what I mean, and having that sort of weight of expectation, because he knows what it means to wear the shirt, he knows what it means when we lose, the bad times. But for him to be able to sort of deal with that and the criticism that comes with it as well, because it hasn't all been sort of roses and celebrations the whole way through. He's had a lot of stick, certainly on social media and what have you. So for him to be able to sort of deal with that and take it in his stride and continue to improve and continue to make an impact, again, speaks volumes of how he is as a personality.
I mean, yeah, I think Jamie Carragher touched on that, didn't he, about the weight of playing for like your local team and whatnot. But as you said there, you do get criticised a little bit more, but to be able to park that and go, well, doesn't matter, I'll just sort of keep doing what I'm doing, as you touched on there, like going from obviously Whaleby to the 17, 18, coming into the first team, to sort of being able to adapt and be a squad player, but still obviously in his mind pushing to go, well, I want to be starting still, but finding that sort of balance between, okay, I might not be playing this week, but I'll still be out in training to make sure I'm in the team next week, and not sort of, you know, throwing his toys out the pram or whatever it may be. I think, it's sort of credit to him, like, you know, psychologically, just to go, I'll deal with all that, but I'm going to still keep doing what I'm doing to keep himself at that level.
Well, it shows real good mental resilience, doesn't it, to keep going, and he's also done it for the 21s as well. Nationally, you know, he was one of the main players in that squad, so they've definitely got something, you know, rhino skin to keep bouncing back, and you need that. You need that to get to the top level. 100%.
Yeah, it's been a hell of a journey for him, like I say, up until this point as well. There's still so much more to come. And on that, Kate, I wanted to ask you really in terms of like the temptation, I guess, to sort of overhype and maybe sort of push ahead of time young players. And Curtis is an example of this, because I mentioned earlier on, he was, you know, absolute running the show at 18 years old in the academy stuff. And there's always going to be a temptation for like the first team manager then to go and get them. How much and how difficult might it be to and sort of those conversations around like academy managers, obviously Alex Inglethorpe, and 18 managers and 21 managers, I guess has to be really sort of collective about what's best for the player in terms of their development?
I think first of all, they've got to protect the player, because they can see the potential in the player. So they've got to make sure that they protect them and they don't put them in certain games that might be a little bit more physical than others. So I think the priority is the player. But you know, the likes of the academy managers at these big clubs, you know, they know that the potential is there. You just got to keep developing and nurturing that potential, and you know, and picking the right moments for these players to step up and win games alone, because that's what they can do. But yeah, look, it's really difficult. But I think someone like Curtis Jones, and if you ask them type of players not to play in games, they want to play in every game, you know. But they've got to be managed. You know, they've got to be managed, and that's the job of the academy manager, yeah, for sure.
Definitely. And part of that management, and this is something else we've spoken about in the past, is the loan system, I guess, as well, when it comes to these lads who, when they get to like 18, 19, 20, they want to be playing first team, and if not quite ready for that at Liverpool, where they go and get their minutes. And obviously Curtis is an example of somebody who hasn't done that. He has stuck around and sort of made his way through naturally. Matty, I'll get your take on it now. Do you think most players, if not all players, would benefit from sort of dropping down and getting that exposure and that experience and sort of, I don't know, that sort of in the deep end in first team football somewhere?
Yeah, I think it's a completely different environment to academy football. I think even from myself when I was at Aki, I sort of, because you sort of, at times the focus isn't, you're sort of there to try and help out where you can within sessions, whether it be, you know, shape on a Friday or whatever, the focus isn't on you. So to go away and sort of work on yourself and be a part of a team that's obviously lads wanting to win.
There's stuff at stake, like,
it's just a completely different environment. So I think it is important. Obviously, it's great to be around the first team and learn from players of, you know, high calibre. But if you can go away, and obviously the players they're going to be playing with aren't bad players, they're still going to be playing to a very good standard. So they can only learn, and it's only going to help their progression.
I think it's very important for them to go and get some real first team experience, whether it even be like dropping down to non-league, because you know that it's going to be physical, you know it's going to be tough, and if they can cope with that and bounce back, I think they'll be stronger for it. Because the amount of academy players that I've worked with and get released at 18 and then they go and play non-league like to Chester or even a little bit lower, they struggle with like the pitches, the physicality of the game, but that is the game, you know. So I think it's just getting that balance right, because you know you don't want any of these potential first team players to get injuries. So the balance of someone like Alex or academy managers is tough, because do you want them to get the experience? Do you want them to get injured? But I'm a firm believer of getting out into that environment, and it being physical and tough will definitely help you in the future.
Yeah, Liverpool have used the loan system well, I think, in recent years. Obviously, for Harvey Elliott had a very successful loan. Owen Beck's been on a couple of decent ones as well. We tried to loan out Jayden Danns this time around, but unfortunately injuries meant that didn't actually happen. But I'll come back to you, Kevin. This is something we have discussed before. Do you think there are special cases literally now in Liverpool's academy, in terms of like they'll look at someone as being such a supreme talent and they'll go, he doesn't need to go out? And Trent was an example of this years ago. I do think there are certain ones that just wrapping cotton wool and say you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, look, they know from an early age, maybe 13, 14, that the potential that player shows is first team potential. So some of them, you know, some of them are marked to say, well, we don't really need to get him out, but we need to give him lots and lots of games to get him used to certain aspects of play, formations, etc. But I think the percentage of that one or two players is very, very small in terms of their potential first team players. Yeah,
most definitely. We've discussed already sort of like Liverpool's aims and emphasis and objectives when it comes to the academy. We've spoken about sort of selling players and the pure profit that brings and making first team stars and what have you. I know for a fact one of like the most proudest moments in recent times of Liverpool's academy was that Carabao Cup final win a couple of years ago with Chelsea, when literally the kids won it. It was James McConnell, it was Jayden Danns, Bobby Clark, etc. Obviously, Matty, as a fan, I know, again, the academy was so proud of that. I remember going down there a couple of days later and they're getting phone calls from all around the city saying how boss it was that the kids had sort of contributed in such a way. But as a fan, for you, watching Liverpool's kids do that does make that all the more unique and special. Yeah,
especially when you're going up against, obviously, it's not a bad Chelsea team, is it either? So to see them obviously do it, and as I touched on before, they know exactly what the club's about, so they sort of know exactly what it means to all the fans. I'm not saying obviously all the players coming in from abroad don't. I'm just saying they've sort of lived it, so they really know what it does mean. So for them to actually go distance and get it done, I mean, again, against in a final as well. So the pressure's obviously, any game playing for Liverpool is going to be massive pressure, but at a final at Wembley, just to go and do it shows like obviously there's the good system in place within the academy.